freaking first cut. Golly.
Welcome to the First Cut Podcast. I'm Rick Gehman, and this is your round two recap for this week's AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. Joining me to break it all down, Mark Immelman is here. And Mark, you are on the road again. Welcome.
Hello there. Yeah, I'm in Pebble Beach, and it is glorious, Rick. I've come here probably 7-8 years. It kind of blurs some, but I would comfortably say that this is the best weather I've seen for 3 days straight thus far, and for the weekend it looks more of the same. So it's idyllic out here, and these golf courses are essentially defenseless, to be honest.
Well, taking advantage of those conditions is Seamus Power, who followed up his Thursday 64 with another 64. And Mark, that's good enough to break the opening 36-hole record, now 128 strokes. And if that wasn't impressive enough, he's already played Spyglass Hill. That's the difficult one.
It is. Spyglass averages about a stroke and a half harder than Pebble Beach does for the field on average. And that round he put together in round one was really stout. Spyglass is sort of skinny. There are no ocean holes. It just weaves in and out of these forests and stuff. So it's very tight, and you're very undulating, and you've got to have a lot of control about you. But that's what he's had over the last little while. But I got to tell you, everyone talks about Pebble Beach playing easy. These greens are as firm as I've seen them, and they average about 3,500 feet square, so they're small. And every year I go to the 8th green, for argument's sake, and it looks smaller than what it was last year. And then I go to number 10, and it looks like the thing's shrinking. And 9's the same thing. And to hit 16 out of 18 greens today was some sort of ask, because if you're just slightly off, the greens are firm enough right now that if you're coming from the first cut, pardon the pun, it's going to greens will not repel balls. It's not major championship stuff right now, but you're seeing balls bounce, and there's some tennis ball about them, and they're not taking a whole bunch of spin. So you have to drive it well. You've got to put it in play. You've got to control distance with the irons to these small targets, and all the golf that I've seen him play, I've seen a few holes really. He's never really been short-sighted either, so it looks like he's got everything going on, and it's been impressive stuff.
Back-to-back 64s, that's good enough for 16 under par. And as we speak in this very moment, 4 shots clear of the next closest chaser. Austin Smotherman still out on the golf course. Adam Svensson, Patrick Cantlay finishing up as well, so that could change. But Mark, Seamus Power was asked in his post-round interview kind of what's different from now versus 8 months ago. And he talked a lot about confidence, being more comfortable in this position as he's getting more and more confident in his game and more used to seeing his name on the first page or two of the leaderboard.
Yeah, confidence is it's that special sauce, if you will, that just turns these guys from good to great. It turns not very good to decent. The confidence is that sort of thing where just day to day in rounds of golf, where if you don't really have it, you can turn 74 into 71. And then you turn that 71 day into something in the 60s. And then when you do like he's doing, where you're playing decently, and 68-ish becomes 65 and lower. And the more you start to do that, the more you kind of get the snowball going downhill. And that's where he is right now. And every PGA Tour player will tell you that confidence is that catalyst. Now, it's crazy because it's fickle. It's a fickle mistress, because when you're playing well, it just never feels like you're going to play badly. But then all of a sudden, when things go wrong, it starts to feel sometimes that you're never going to play well again. And we see players over there. So it's a time for Seamus now to strike while the iron is hot. And he has. He had the victory in Kentucky last year. And he's contended a bunch here in the early part of 2022. And he's setting himself up for a pretty cool weekend around really almost the mecca of golf for everyone around the world.
Yeah, if he were to close this out, he'd jump up all the way to number 2 in the FedEx Cup rankings, obviously putting himself in great position as we get into really the meat of the PGA Tour schedule. And for those who don't know about Seamus Power's game, Mark, I mean, very quickly, he's just been a flusher. He's been absolutely flushing the ball. He's been a great ball striker. That's the one thing that has really changed for Seamus Power over the last 18 months compared to the larger sample size that we have on him, because I don't think people realize he's been around for 5, 6, 7 years. He's been on tour. We know this guy. He's just kind of taken a couple of extra steps here recently.
Yeah, it's just a little bit in each department of the game, because as I've watched him, there's been an uptick everywhere. He was weak around the greens, and he's improved that area. But the golf swing is tight. It's reliable. It's easily repeatable. There's not a whole lot of stuff going on, so it's not the kind of thing that takes a whole bunch of management. And he's a big, strong guy. People, I don't think, realize how big Seamus is, and with that shorter action, he hits the thing heavy. And around a maritime sort of an environment like this, where the air, even though it's beautiful, is still moist and coolish, and the ball doesn't go that far, he can punch it through the air, and that's why I think he's been able to take advantage and indeed do the same thing in Hawaii, where it's the same sort of sea air of obviously Torrey Pines last week, where he played okay. So, I mean, he's looking all of the part right now, and that confidence is just helping him to sort of navigate the tough spots in the rounds when things aren't going so well, because he knows deep down, look, if I make a bogey, I'll be all right because I'm playing well. But
Yeah,
if you
absolutely.
don't, then if you make a bogey, all of a sudden you start going, oh my goodness, and then you might attack when it's not necessary.
Yeah, absolutely. He is confident. He's on top of his game at the moment. He is the favorite to win this event. We're going to talk about those odds and who might be able to chase him down. But first, we're going to take a quick break and hear a word from our partners.
Back on Paramount Mountain, where entertainment lives.
What is this?
It's the theme song from Halo.
And we're back. Our friends over at Caesars Sportsbook are assigning Seamus Power the odds of plus 120, nearly even money to be your AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am victor. Patrick Cantlay at this exact time is plus 333. Mark Cantlay is 10 under par, which is 6 shots back. He has a couple of holes left. He probably represents the biggest bit of firepower in the chase group if someone is going to make a run at this over the final 2 days.
Certainly, Cantlay is kind of the cream of the crop in this field, and he's the defending FedEx Cup champion, and he just loves this place. He plays so well in Northern California. But I wouldn't avert my eyes too much from Austin Smotherman. He can move it through the air. I watched him play a little bit, and he looks like he's fearless, almost like you mentioned Will Zalatoris, and I can sort of see that a little bit now. And then, of course, there's Jason Day, and I've been beating this drum for a few weeks now, and I watched a lot of his round at Monterey Peninsula this morning. My goodness, he left the first 4 holes he had. He clipped the hole on every birdie attempt, which was inside of 15 feet. And that's the kind of stuff that he normally rattles in. Maybe not all of them, but, one of 2.
Austin Smotherman 25-1, Jason Day 28-1. According to our friends over at Caesars Sportsbook, if you are looking for some other options, and Mark, we talked about this a little bit last night. There is plenty to play for here in this event. There's plenty to play for with guys who are trying to earn their way into the Waste Management next week or rattle off those very important FedEx Cup points.
There really is. And it's the sort of situation where I listened to you and Kyle's show from yesterday, and it was through round 1. And then you actually made the point. You're like, there's so much golf left. Mm-hmm. And the truth of it is there's a whole lot of golf left. There's 36 holes. And even though this place is playing easy, if you're not careful, you can trip up. And the golf course is setting up to where if you make a bogey or 2, which is easily done on the back 9 at Pebble, incidentally, and you can do it at Spyglass as well, then you could get kind of run over. So if I was the guys at 7 under par and such, I'm looking at the leaderboard going, okay, I'm playing okay. I'm not playing poorly to be 7 or 8 under. So if I just catch a little fire and I make a few birdies in a row, all of a sudden I climb up that board, and I know it's bunched, but it just takes something special late Sunday afternoon. And we've seen guys chase down the leaders in recent years. I mean, do you remember just a few short years ago where Dustin Johnson was all but given the title after 54 holes, and Ted Potter in the final group with him ran him down? So anything's possible. It's golf. We know that. but you're going to have to go to stay in front of Power and Cantlay. That's for sure.
Well, we will keep an eye on everything all weekend long, and you can keep an eye on everything as well, because coverage is back on CBS this weekend. Saturday coverage, 3 p.m. Eastern to 7 p.m. Eastern, and Sunday is 3 to 6:30 on the East Coast. But for now, that'll do it for the first cut. We'll be back after each and every round to put a bow on this. Big thanks to producer Jacob doing all the hard work behind the scenes. Mark Immelman can be found on Twitter at Mark_Immelman, and you can find me at Rick Run Good. This has been the first cut, and we'll catch you next time.